So this is the XLBI VJ's Challenge 422. And you know something? I had no idea there was something called the revised Julian calendar. But learn something new every day. So VJ explains here what we know what the Gregorian calendar leap years are and the revised Julian calendar leap year. And what he's asking is saying that to find the years between 1901 and 1999, and if it's in both of them, ignore them, but if it's in any one of them, to list it. Okay, so I try to understand this. Being a simple man, being a simple man, right? Try to understand this in terms of a diagram, and as to what Julian leap year. Is it a Julian leap year? Is it a revised? Sorry, is it a Gregorian leap year? Is it a revised Julian leap year? If it's yes, we're interested in it. However, we're interested in the ones where it's either or. It's either one or the other. And if it's both, then we're not interested. If it's yes, then we're not interested. It's rejected. If it's no, we want that in the result. So that's the simplest way to describe that. Now, if anyone's wondering why it's important to get this round your head to begin with, I can't really explain that, right? It works. All I can say is it works for me. It seems to work for Elon Musk as well. But I know a lot of you don't like him. But that doesn't mean that we should reject thinking logically and clearly. So, having got that out of the way, right, into my head, I then went ahead and I went ahead to implement that with the basic computer language. Now, let me explain what this is, because a lot of people are confused about what this is. Let me take that off. We commonly refer to it as VBA, but in doing so, we forget. Hang on, you can't see this all, can you? All right, so let me just, like, some of you will just violently disagree with me, right? This is called the basic computer language. It stands for BASIC, stands for beginners all purpose symbolic instruction code, right? Beginners. The B stands for beginners. Remember that. That's very important to be the simplest way of implementing some logic, right? So given that, when Microsoft implemented the basic computer language in Excel and the Office products, they called it Visual Basic for applications. They're already called Basic Visual Basic because they went through a period when we went from DOS to, what the hell do we call it? Windows. That's it, Windows. DOS to Windows. They put visual in front of everything, right? Visual InterDev, Visual C++, Visual this, Visual that, Visual Basic, right? So they already had made Basic into Visual Basic. And why they called it Visual Basic for applications is because the Office products were referred to as applications. Excel, PowerPoint, Access, and Word were, for them, their branding was applications. So Visual Basic for applications was Visual Basic, which they already had, their flagship computer language, right? Which originated from Basic, right? But by now it has kind of got lots of bells and whistles and all sort of stuff, and really important and clever people were using it for clever stuff. But nevertheless, we can't get away from the fact that its design goal is that it is simple. As you can see, much of this is English, right? So this is basic, and they called it Visual Basic for applications because they made it customized to work with the object models of the 4 applications, right? Are you with me so far? Are you still listening to me? So I think it would be true to say, and you can test it out there, there's no computer language out there for implementing logic that is simpler than basic, right? And we call it visual VBA because it's that VBA acronym that was the big branding acronym. Now I have heard, right? I have heard a very, very popular and well-known Excel expert referring to VBA in a live program, live webinar as Visual Basic Application. Ooh. That I'm not just being pedantic. It just we have to understand what this terminology means, and we have to understand where it came from, right? So that's a big lecture finished. All right, so this is my implementation. I'm not going to go through step by step, otherwise I would have typed it step by step, right? I'm just going to show you this because you can, if you're interested, you can study this later on. I'm implementing here exactly what I did here. I just try, this is my understanding of the problem, and then translating that into basic language computer code, it becomes that. So I'm starting with looping from that to 9999. I'd like to be around at that time. I don't know. If you're around 9999, right? I'll buy you lunch. Don't know what they'll be eating in that time. I don't know. Maybe pills. Maybe they take pills. Maybe they intravenous. Maybe they inject themselves with everything pleasurable like food and sex and things like that. Anyway, that's just me dreaming, okay? So this is how I've done it. Loop through all the years from there to there. I'm starting because I want to output this from row 2 onwards. Row 2 onwards, row 2 onwards. So I want to put it down here. And I've done a little test here to find out. All right, that's the first test of whether it's Gregorian. This is a second test of whether it's revised, what's it called? Revised Julian, backwards, revised Julian leap year, right? So I figured that one out, and then I'm doing the XOR here. Now I couldn't remember how to actually write this, so I asked my friend Bill Becken, right? He's brilliant, right? If you get the chance to catch up with Bill Becken is brilliant. So I asked him, and he pointed me while I was having my breakfast. Right, so this is basically applying that XOR, right? And I got there in the end, and if it satisfies this logic, which is basically what we have here, what we have here, right? Then output the year into, if you're not familiar with this just says row, I row, wherever that's got to, and column 2 value equals int year, because that's the value of int year in the loop. And if it's so, go down to the next row for the next one, right? And go all the way till it comes to 9999, which is when either I'm buying you lunch or you're buying me lunch. So, having said all of that, let's give it a shot, shall we? Will it work? Ah! As if I didn't know. As if I didn't know. All right? I knew that would work because I tried it before. So that's it. Okay, so what have we learned here? We've learned that there is, I don't mean for everyone. I know that some people like to do this the most difficult way. And there is, it's a sport. And a sport, like we try to, you've got a mountain to climb, right? Let's say a mountaineering club, everyone's trying to climb that mountain to get to the top in the most difficult way, right? You get champion, you're a mountaineering champion, the more difficult the route you've taken. However, there are times when the reason you want to get to the top of the mountain is because someone's been taken ill at the top of the mountain. Now, in that case, you're not going to try to get there by the most difficult route. You will either get an air ambulance to pick these people up, or you will take the cable car that actually goes to the top of the mountain, right? So I understand that a lot of you people like to do it the most difficult way, and actually you don't feel it necessary to explain how you got to that solution. Now I get that, right? I get that. More obscurity is the more, I don't know, advanced and better it looks like. It's like saying to the mountaineering people, they say, I got to the top by the most difficult way. How did you go? I'm not going to tell you. I got there by the most difficult route. So you better give me the prize. Right. But I'm not going to tell you how I got there because I don't want anyone else to know how to get there. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's it's a registered, licensed, yeah. Okay, I'll give you an instruction sheet on how to get there, but it'll cost you. I don't know what the game is here, right? But my job is to make everybody be able to do this. Okay, not just for this problem, but for any problem, and that's the reason I'm taking the trouble to teach you guys. Okay, so I hope you had a good time, and go and enjoy your lunch. And yeah, if you're all around in 1999, we can have a party. Okay, bye.